Hi class, we're starting Unit 10 today. I apologize for not putting what section this is. This is 10-1 and 10-2. The lesson is on defining points, lines, line segments, rays, and angles. So this lesson is really vocab heavy, so if you pay attention during the vocabulary part and if you refer back to it in the lesson, then the problems are quite simple once you use those vocabulary words. So our learning goal is today I will define a point, line, line segment, ray, and angle. So a point describes an exact location on a line and is usually labeled with a capital letter. So again, that's a point. So if you see a dot with a label, for example, a dot and an A, that is point A. A line is a straight path formed through 2 points that goes on in both forever in both directions. So if I have a point here and a point here and a straight path that goes through those 2 points and has 2 arrows on both sides, keeps going forever, that's going to be point B and C, then that is a line. If you see 2 points and 2 arrows going through, going forever. And what we would call this line is BC, because we call the points, and then above it, we would draw an angle going out to each side. So if I said label this line, I would want you to say it's BC, and then you have to have 2 arrows up above it. Now we have a line segment. That is a part of a line that ends at 2 endpoints. So I have part of a line. So it goes from B to C, but it stops. Those points are the endpoints, so that's a line segment. And we label that as BC with just one line above it, no arrows. So if I said label that line segment, it would be BC with just a line above it. A ray is a part of a line that ends at one endpoint and extends forever in the other direction. So if I had BC this time, this is going to be my endpoint, and this is going to be the side that extends forever. So it's going to go past C with an arrow. So that is a ray, and we label a ray as BC because the 2 points, and then an arrow extending the direction that that line extends. Now we have an angle, a geometric shape formed by 2 lines with a shared endpoint as the vertex. So vertex is just your point. So for example, this is going to be my endpoint, and I'm going to have it go off in this direction, and I'm going to have it go off in this direction. So those 2 lines are going to have points on each one, and these lines are going to extend forever. So my vertex is going to be B, this one's going to be A, and this one's going to be C. Again, that point right there, B, where the 2 lines meet up, is called our vertex, or the point. So this is an less than 90-degree angle. It is acute. It's an acute angle. Right here, I'm going to draw another one where we see a right angle right there. Again, I have A, B, and C. So this is an acute. This is a 90-degree angle, or a right angle. And now I'm going to draw one more, which is obtuse. And I'm just getting you familiar with these vocabulary words. You will be hearing them later on, not in this particular lesson. So again, we're going to have 3 points. We're going to have A, B, and C. This one's greater than 90 degrees, so that is obtuse. So all of these, if I wanted to say, write that angle, I would draw a, it kind of looks like a less than sign, and then A, B, and C. Okay, we have steps. Our first step is to determine whether there is one endpoint, two endpoints, no endpoints. Then you're going to identify the line type, and you're going to use all of those vocab words, those pictures that we just drew. Step 3 is to label the line. Remember, if I said, if I had this one, for example, and it showed you this is labeling the line where you put the two letters, and then depending on the type of line, you're going to either have arrows going both directions, no arrows, one arrow, or you will label all the angles. Okay, step 4 is to name with the correct math notation. So labeling is this, naming would be saying it's a ray. Naming would be saying it's a line segment or a line. Okay, I'm getting out my red pen, so you're gonna pause, you're gonna watch. Here's my first input model. And this one, for some reason, does not have any, it's not labeled at all. So the first step is to determine if there's 1, 2, or no endpoints. Okay, so I'm not seeing if there's points on the line. I'm seeing if there's end points. And I'm going to go over here to see that what an end point is. That means that it stops and it doesn't go on forever. This one shows me that there are no end points. So I'm going to just put no end points. In other words, it goes on forever. Now I'm going to identify the line type. So if I'm looking up here, it goes off in both directions. This one, it stops, so it can't be that one. Array has one endpoint, so that one doesn't work. This, it kind of looks like it could be an angle too. So I would say it's between a straight line and an angle at this point. But I see that it's straight, so I'm going to go with that it's not an angle. However, there are 3 points, so that might throw you off a little bit. So let's call this a line. And then we're going to label it. So I have A, B, and C. And I want to name this line. So it goes from A, not to B, but it goes to C, A to C, and it goes on forever. Our second problem has a point here, R, and a point here, S. It continues off in only one direction. There's an end point. So I'm going to say that it has one end point. So now I'm going to go back to my vocabulary and see which one has one end point. This is just a point. This goes off in both directions. This has 2 endpoints. This one right here has 1 endpoint. That's called a ray. So we're going to label that it is a ray. Then I need to label it. It's already labeled. So now I need to name it with the correct notation. So I have R to S. The line goes over out to S. So it goes this direction. And there's only one arrow. So this is how I label it. I'm getting out my green pen, so you're going to follow along. So I look here, I have 2 endpoints. So I'm going to refer back here. I'm going to find the one that has 2 endpoints. Right here has 2. This is called a line segment. The line segment is labeled. It's labeled from A to B. And I'm going to refer back to the line segment. It's just a straight line above it. Okay, our second problem, we have an angle where there's going off in 2 different directions. There is an endpoint that's in the center right here. So I'm going to say that it has 1 endpoint. And I'm going to note that that's the vertex. The only one that has a vertex is our angle. So this one is known as an angle. And when I look at this, it goes A, C to B. So it goes from A, C to B. And now I need to see, how do I label it? Oh, I label it with that less than sign. I could have also labeled this angle BCA, but because we read right to left, I started with A, C to B. But BCA would have also worked. Okay, you have 1, 2 homework problems, and then rate your understanding.